Because of the following special broadcast, The Lucy Show and The Andy Griffith Show will not be presented this evening.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
I remember when The Dark Knight Returns came out. I remember when Watchmen came out. So, of course, I remember when Kingdom Come came out.
Kingdom Come is 4 separate issues, 48 pages apiece. It was an all-immersive kind of lifestyle for me.
It blew people away. I mean, this was the most sought-after book there was.
This was something very new, very different.
No one had seen anything like that at that scale before.
It was amazing.
I never thought from anything that people would still be talking about this book 25 years later.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. I've got the crew from Off Panel Register. Yes, it's right there. Off Register Press. Excuse me. It's right there on your table. Yeah, I got Shelly Bond, Philip Bond, and co-collaborator on Geezer and band member of Cud, a fantastic Britpop band. It's William Potter, the bassist and co-writer. Good to see you guys.
Well, we're Britpop now. Yay!
Yeah. Maybe now you'll hit.
All right. I'm sorry, William. I don't mean to miscategorize.
No. It's like part of the reason for Geezer existing is for me to get my frustration of not being accepted into the Britpop club off my chest.
I do understand. This is great. And for people who aren't aware, this is the third chapter in the Geezer story. Currently, there's a Kickstarter campaign. How many days left, Shell?
26, 25, something.
Okay, there you go. All right, very good. Everybody can do jump balls, and whoever's got the answer, that's good. We'll move on to geography now. That's cool. And I know you met your initial goal, but it's time for the stretch goals and everything. And we want you guys to succeed. And really, it's a great story. And you guys know. But for the Word Balloon audience who maybe haven't heard our previous Geezer conversations, I was a college radio guy. I know Shell was a college radio woman, and I'm trying to remember. 87 was my fourth year, and by then, unfortunately, I was working in easy listening in Bloomington, Illinois. But I still was listening to the British music of the late 80s and the mid 80s. The Jam was one of my bands, and I'll admit I'm a big Squeeze fan. I literally just saw Squeeze about a month ago, and they were amazing. Man, you forget how good William, as a musician, I really forgot how good of a guitarist I think Len Tilbrook is.
You don't say anything bad about Easy Listening. Cud were big fans of Easy Listening. We chose to sign to A&M predominantly because they had all great artists like Herb Alpert and Brazil 6.
Yeah, Sergio Mendes and the Carpenters and all that stuff. Absolutely, man.
Great trumpet logo, and we insisted that we had that on our album covers.
That's fantastic. Oh no, I'm a big. They made a great 2-part documentary of the history of A&M.
Yeah, did we get any mention?
Sadly, no. Sadly, no. But I was delighted to learn that Cud was on A&M, and I remember I was the record rep for the Easy Listening radio station I was at, and they kissed our asses because it was Radio and Records, which was like it was a pro trade rather than Billboard or some of the other music magazines of the time. But they had it was Radio and Retail that they geared their product to. And they took a sampling of radio stations, both big market and small market. And we were one of the small market stations. So all the labels treated us like a big market station. And hey, we got tickets for Bruce Springsteen. You want to see it? Yes, I do. And I'm trying to remember who I saw for A&M. I think the guy's name for an A&M was Steve Zapp. And this would have been late 80s, William. And the only reason why I mentioned is maybe
company name, that one.
100%, absolutely. But I wondered if possibly, I know you're across the ocean, obviously in Great Britain, but yeah, I was wondering if maybe the few record reps that, there was another guy. God, he used to come to our rock station that I worked at later. And
Brian Ferry?
What's that? No, he wasn't. Hey, I know you want the Brian Ferry story, but this is similar.
I always go there with John. I always go there with
Brian
you.
Ferry.
Hey, man. Like I said, it was like Living in Monkeys episode, those 10 years at WXRT. I can't think of the guy's name now. And maybe that's good for the purposes of not getting sued by him by saying that the guy used to come to, I'll tell you guys off there, the guy used to come to our station and bring some pot, now legal in Illinois. But back then, and he and the program would just get blitzed. And it's like, okay, don't bother the PD for the rest of the afternoon. I think he's preoccupied. That's fine. But, rock and roll lifestyle, man. At least it wasn't, blow or anything terrible. I mean, it was just something gentle like pot, So I've had my share of, from the radio side, rock and roll stories.
Yeah, you shocked me. We never did any of that kind of stuff. No. I just had to check.
What was on your rider that would shock us, Will?
Clean socks. We never got the clean socks. Socks are important. The best thing we put on our rider, this was basically some of the things you put on a rider are to test the booker, see if they actually have read it and are prepared to go the extra mile for the band. So we used to put an object 1 meter square and to see what they came up with. And the best we got was a payphone with the whole board and everything. It didn't work. It was obviously unattached, but yeah, we carried that around with us for a while.
That's fantastic. Brown M&Ms for Van Halen. No Brown M&Ms, I should say, was kind of the famous one that we know for American rock fans for a rider. So yeah, no, Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek Next Generation told us in the late 70s, early 80s, he was a Marvel, especially in New York. If you wanted Spider-Man or another superhero to be at your store or whatever, he was an actor, and he was Captain America. And he was telling us about a Blood, Sweat, and Tears concert that was in the middle of the summer, really, really hot, past their prime, but whatever. And in their rider, they wanted Marvel superheroes in the green room. So Jonathan was there as Captain America. The guy that was the regular Spider-Man guy was there. And it was real 90-degree weather at night, just horrible. And the band took pity on the guys and hey, if you want to take your masks off while you're back here, whatever. So of course Jonathan takes his mask off. Spider-Man would not break character, and he would suck on beer. He would suck on beer bottles through his mask, which I love. And we're crying. He told us that story. We're all crying. We're like, that's fantastic.
I do sympathize for with him for that, because when I was trying to break into comics after I left Cud in the early 90s, I was Sonic the Hedgehog. For one convention. There is photographic evidence, and it was incredibly hot. So, and obviously I couldn't break character. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't take this huge head off me. I used to have to tap my minder and be led to a corner so I could fan myself and drink some water.
I had heard at amusement parks like Disneyland and stuff that some of them had built-in fans because it would get so hot in the costumes and stuff. So you got a cheap one apparently. You got yours from Spirit Halloween, the knockoff Sonic.
No, I think it's the official Sonic. I was doing it for Sonic the comic. I was
sure.
I think it was the official one with the big shoes. And
I'd like to see Sonic the Hedgehog appear with your bass guitar one night on the stage when Cud is performing. That's on my bucket list now.
Or at least wear the shoes.
People listening and watching need to go on YouTube to watch some great videos of Cud through the years, including something they made just 2 years ago. And I'm scrolling down here as I see the titles of stuff. What was it, William? I'm missing it right now.
Well, there was a song we did called Switched On. The last one was Lay You Down.
Lay You Down is what I was thinking of. Yep.
Make sure you get the right Cud and not one of these other Cud bands that have stolen the name. Like there's a country and western Cud, and there's a punk Cud out there.
Oh, because yes, but this is Sorry I Let You Down is at least the title that I'm thinking.
Yeah. That's
okay.
One of our last ones.
Yeah, really good, man. And then also, and no offense, Shell, but I really like. I've had it with blondes, and the video is great because
I'm technically not a blonde. Let's be honest. I'm half and half. I'm actually really gray, so no offense taken.
Yeah, that's one of our best songs. We play that at the end of our set, pretty much, or in the encore every night, and often it triggers a stage invasion. It's hugely popular. I love playing that one.
That's excellent, man. And really, no, it's again, Shell's like, you got to hear their music. I'm like, yeah, I do have to hear their music. You're absolutely right. And no, it's really good, man. It's very cool, and I'm glad you guys are back out there doing stuff, because what was that period? And again, it reflects Geezer and the stories you're telling in Geezer and stuff. But yeah, what would you say? Like, what was Cud's prime years?
Our prime years, say 92 was our big year. That's when we were on A&M, and we had a hit album, and our first chart success, a few hits in the top 30. So yeah, everything seemed to be free. We got into free parties. Although saying that, when A&M had a Christmas party, Sting was allowed in the VIP area, but we weren't. And actually, this might be familiar to Philip, because I put this scene in The Last Geezer, when they go over to the States, and Geezer get to meet the record company, but they don't get into the free bar. They have to buy their own drinks.
I was just listening to the Saturday Night Live podcast that the comedians Dana Carvey and David Spade do, and they had Jay Farrow, and another former cast member, on, and they were talking because this year's going to be this season is the 50th anniversary, and they're like, yeah, we wonder if we're going to be in the main room, or are they going to stick us in the ante room? I had that happen to me in boxing, where I wouldn't be allowed to be ringside. I'd be in a room with a gigantic TV watching the fight, and it's like, well, why the hell am I in Vegas? I could have done this from home right now and covered it the same way.
This is like when Cud go on tour now. We don't know if we're going to get the big room or the little room. It all depends on sales. We were very happy when we played Newcastle last time, because we were in the small room, and the big room was a Kiss tribute act.
Oh Jesus! Spinal Tap and Puppet Show. Yeah, but we got to.
They didn't sell as many tickets, and they got bumped, and we went to the top. Yeah,
that's great. Hey, there. So, William, I was asking, and obviously you had the new album in 22. So you guys do, occasionally you guys still get together and do shows?
It might not mean anything to you, but I live in the south of the UK, and the rest of the band live in Leeds in the north, and we've been that way for years, decades.
Sure. Sure.
But I'm moving back to Leeds, hopefully later this month. So I'm hoping that it'll spur the band to be a bit more active, that we can get together, rehearse, and write new material more. I'm hoping it'll be a.
You were playing just like in the past couple of weeks, weren't you?
Yeah, we played the weekend before last, or last weekend, and we've got 4 more shows at the end of this month, and some more in December.
Beautiful.
So we've been active for a decade now. So
that's not bad for an inactive band.
Yeah, man. No, if you're in the UK, obviously check your local papers and see when we'll be playing next.
I'm afraid we don't have local papers anymore.
It doesn't that suck? Seriously, guys. I mean, again, we're of that era of free papers
in the toilets,
or the freestanding. Okay. Maybe the freestanding kiosks will have like Xeroxes of notices for Cud's next shows.
Just make sure you subscribe to our regular fax.
I was ready to go. Oh, he's got a URL for Cud. Do you guys have a webpage where?
We have. If you search Cud Band, then you won't get anything cow related. You'll get stuff about us. We've got a cudband.com Facebook. I run one of the pages, so yeah, there are ways to find out where we're playing. So I'm afraid we're not playing the States. They've not invited us back since.
Please come back. We're inviting you.
Yes, we've tried. Come out to LA. I must say that the Cud Band is one of the most energetic and fun live shows I've been to. Saw them in 2019, and I still feel like, after all this time, better than ever. Not unlike Suede, because we saw Suede perform 2 years ago, and they were just chef's kiss. The Cud band has still got it. And the fans are not unlike comic book fans that know their music and know their scene and then just give it everything they've got at those shows.
Yeah, they're like an amazing and dedicated and mostly bald bunch.
Yeah, it's the same.
We have no problem with balls. Problem with blondes, but not balls.
We understand. Absolutely. Well, let's get into Geezer. When we left our heroes, as William said earlier, they were on a U.S. tour. They were the front band or the opening act for another band. Yep. And our main. Yep. And there they are. And first of all, and I've said this before, I really do love, I was wondering formatically, Philip and Shell, making it square like this, could it fit into, because you guys are kind of giving me the digital copies, but could it fit like in a CD jewel box? Is it that?
It fits. It's the same size as a 7-inch single.
Oh, 45, sure.
Yeah.
Hold on, William, I'm gonna zoom. I'll zoom in. There you go.
Oh,
look at that.
Wow, nice.
That is
what's the one you're comparing? Is that a regular single, Philip? That you're William? That you're comparing?
Single. It's the 7-inch single.
Yeah, and I love. You'll forgive me, William, but I love UK singles that have the center like albums and don't have the crazy, giant hole that we were dealing with.
Look at
Very
that.
nice, very nice, excellent. Good effects. Very good. I like that.
Little bit of misplanning was we made the book the same size as 7-inch record, which is of course slightly smaller than the 7-inch sleeve. So we could have made it just a tiny bit bigger and had it the same size. But yeah.
No, but this for me it's the best because I can actually order loads of envelopes that fit singles. And and I did actually look up trying to do a single sleeve like this. It actually cost more than the comic.
Oh wow, that sucks.
Oh yeah, forget that.
Philip, would you, or I'm sorry, William, I was going to ask, would you consider making some original music and pairing it with Geezer in some sort of Spotify list of songs? I mean, obviously, you could do that with Cud songs and everything, but
yes. Well, the first two Geezers, sadly, I didn't have enough time to rustle a song up for number 3, but the first two we promoted with an animation of Philip's artwork, and the first one the guitarist in Cud, Mike, came up with a tune,
cool,
a Britpop pastiche thing, just an instrumental. Sure. And then I wrote and recorded one for the second issue.
Yeah. So I guess it was my turn for number 3, and I kind of flaked out there.
Yeah, sorry, I just didn't have enough time. But I'm still fond of the tune I did for number 2, and I do want to work it up and present it to the Cud band. And it might be that we end up recording some Geezer tunes, and realize that it's much more profitable for us to be a Britpop pastiche band.
Sounds good. I'm reading from the Off Register Press website, and a great description of what Geezer is. Follow the missteps of Bland as he that's your lead, Martin Bland, your lead player. So follow the missteps of Martin Bland as he embarks on a make or break mission to become a cheeky chap, chart topper, and style icon. If only he had the breaks, the talent, the cheekbones. Indeed, really funny stuff. Band on the road, from the little clubs to, as we said in Volume 2, they go on their American tour, and they're in Vegas. And without revealing some mishaps that happen in issue 2, they will spill into issue 3. The way issue 2 ends.
You don't tell anyone what happened in Vegas.
That's right.
Stays in Vegas.
That's absolutely. You're not wrong. I used to go to Vegas all the time when I was covering boxing.
No, don't tell us.
I can't hear you.
I told you more terrible stuff about the A&M record rep back in the day. He's retired.
He's retired, you said.
No, retired. Retired. Philip, back to the design of the book, and I was telling this off the air, and I know we talked about it in previous volumes as well. It's this level of beyond the story itself, man, you just fill that thing with tickets and handbills. But also, I love the fake articles that you guys came up with to kind of add to the reality of what Geezer would have been, how it would have been covered in that free newspaper era of 80s pop and everything.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. I've always been like as interested in all the sort of like little extra little bits that go along as the main story. It all fits into the story, but I'll spend like as much time like designing a flyer that just like appears in someone's hand in one panel. I'm gonna have to like go in there and design the whole thing and make the whole thing like look like it was designed in like at one point in 91. And how is that going to be different from a flyer that came out in 93 or 94?
I'm going to show an example of that in a second, as soon as I'm able to bring it up, because really it's right there.
I can show you this. Basically, a lot of this stuff, I have the reference.
Oh, here. Hold on, William.
1992.
I'll zoom in.
Cud album review. Something else, sir. They called it because they thought they invented this thing called Lion Pop. They put us there. So yeah, I've got all of the. It's all bleached out by the light, but I've got files of all these early Enemies pieces. So I use it as a reference and try to write in the style of these sarcastic, pun-filled journalists.
Which is quite easy for you, I must say, as the editor.
There's something I miss terribly, like the puns. Like people don't just like go straight for the puns these days,
and they should,
like they used to in the real heyday and like the 80s and the 90s in the UK music press were just like the worse pun, the better. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, with a name like Cud, we were just asking for it. So. Philip and I collaborated on a Cud title, Rich and Strange, and there were loads of genuine pun headlines, like I heard it through the bovine, and things that were genuine ones from the period.
Have any of those critics from that era, William? Have they continued on? Are they still out there in the 2000s?
Actually, a lot of those from that period, the quality ones, are now they moved on to write comedy. A lot of them, and a lot of them, now write books and write scripts for TV. So yeah, or they're radio DJs. So yeah, there was
sure.
You would have thought there would have been unemployable, but they did manage to.
We get on AXS or Access, one of the cable channels. We get a show called Rock Legends, and I don't know if that was the title in the UK, but it really is a bunch of British rock critics analyzing modern bands, but also classic bands, and here's a whole half hour on surf music, whatever. I mean, it's really, really good, and I unfortunately can't think of any other than Paul. The Italian Giamatti, or he goes way back, and he's he's older than all of us, and he seems to have a great depth of knowledge of not only the current scene but the history and everything. But it really, I really am glad it exists, because it's fun hearing all these rock critics and rock analysts.
Yeah, I forgot. Of course, that is where a lot of them ended up as well, podcasters.
Well, of course. Hey, man, William, what are you talking about? If I were probably in the UK, if I couldn't get a broadcast job, not only would I be doing a podcast, I'd probably try to like work at a hospital or wherever they've got, kind of in building music programming going and stuff. And I'd probably try to be a DJ there.
Based on the mortally wounded.
Sadly, yeah, but the tradition continues, right, in modern day, right?
I don't know if there's the hospital DJ quite as much. Yeah, that was a kind of classic role
there is
for people who are trying to break into business.
Story, though.
Say it again, Jill.
It's in Rich and Strange, which is the Cud story that we told through Black Crown. We have a hospital DJ in that story?
Yeah, it was kind of an idyllic thing, though, that there was an actual hospital DJ. I think like generally it's like piped in from some like central studio. rather than like it used to be, like it would have been like in the 50s, I'm sure.
But could you imagine if this was actually something new that we started, that we could have this trend? John, you could each,
I think everybody
I'll take
should
a hospital,
be a DJ.
right?
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You take a hospital wing.
I'll do a library. I'll be a library DJ.
Oh, great.
Well, you need your.
You wouldn't even have to like use any records. You could
just like lots of easy listening.
Well, you know what it's like. You basically you do what you play, like gentle music. You don't play anything like sad or with death in the title, and then you do requests for like Mavis in Ward 6 with increasing bowel problems.
Here's Squeeze for Mavis.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
Good luck with that, Mavis.
Here's Squeeze for Jonathan, who's suffering from constipation.
Exactly.
Trapped in the room. I love it. Too funny.
Oh, God.
So
Hey,
while we're on the
that
subject,
sounds like a reality show waiting to happen.
so while we're on the subject of Rich and Strange, I'm going to plug it here because this is the title that Philip and I worked on for Black Crown with Shelly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And as part of this Geezer 3 campaign, we're compiling all the individual parts into one full 32-page comic in full color as an add-on, so people can. It's like the prequel to Britpop.
Sure. No, that sounds great, man.
Kind of strangely enough, I think they were both Shelley's ideas in the first place, weren't they?
I do believe so, and thank you for the credit.
I don't have my own ideas.
Is how many chapters will Geezer be?
Geezer. Oh,
or is it an ongoing? Or is it an ongoing? 5. Okay. Okay. And I mean, every individual volume so far has been 40 pages. We get a great story, but there's a shit ton of back matter. So if people really want both the illusion and the realities and stuff, you're really going to get a full meal. And really, man, again, as someone that grew up in this era and stuff, or maybe I was a young adult in this era. I was out of college, I think, for most of your guys' prime. But breaking into Chicago radio when you guys were at your peak in '92, so but sports, sadly. But working as Shelly knows next to the rock station, I ended up doing a lot of rock work for them. Great WXRT, William. I'm sure maybe I've told you in the past, but it really was like the great new wave, progressive rock station in the '90s in Chicago, and it's still around. It's a great station. So that's where I was for 10 years. Pretty cool. And like I said, Elvis Costello would show up, and of course, the infamous Brian Ferry song on a Saturday night. When I went to the door, had no idea who was at the door, and there's Brian Ferry, looking like he just stepped out of the Avalon music video. I mean, he's a gorgeous man. Just the hair was perfect, and he had a scarf on that was kind of ascot, kind of tied around his neck. Hello, is Terry there? And it's like, hey man, how you doing?
My favorite part of that story, though, is when Terry looks across the room, sees her date is there, and she's like, "John, I got this.
I got it. Leave him alone. Leave him alone."
And then I could see her almost sashaying to the door. Come hither.
She was actually sprinting to the door to make sure that she got there as early as possible. And I imagine, because it was a Saturday night, Brian had probably had a show to do immediately after recording whatever he was going to record with us. But it was great. And as I've shown Shell, I was busy producing a sports show at the time, and it happened to be on a commercial break. And the people that were there all took a fantastic black and white photo with them, because it was this is pre-phone cameras. Just somebody had a 35 millimeter camera. Fantastic picture of everybody. But yeah, I've posted it on Facebook before, and yeah, it was cute. It really, and it's all my friends. I mean, it's great. And again, I was jaded by that time. Hey, John Fogerty comes in, and hey man, nice to meet you, Boss Skaggs. All these amazing people. Like I said, it was like living in a Monkees episode. It's like, all right, who's going to be at the door today?
And that's not unlike how it is when you open up an issue of Geezer.
Bringing us back to the subject.
Indeed.
And you get to follow the mishaps of a wannabe Britpop star and his ragtag band of mop top Brit flops.
And you do get star cameos. No Boss Skaggs, I'm afraid. But you will see members of
sorry.
Pulp in there.
Who pops up?
Well, I think the latest one you've got. Martin just bumps into Jarvis Cocker, doesn't he? Goes, Jarvis. It's almost like. We've had like members of Blur in there.
Excellent.
I think this one's our big Elastica issue, isn't it?
Yes, Elastica in this one as well.
You remember the band Elastica, who were the sort of really the epitome of like that early Britpop. That was when like Britpop like really sort of like broke through, and
they were one of the best at Britpop.
Signified it.
Okay.
Perfect debut album.
Yep. Yeah,
that's cool. Might we see Geezer making a music video? Have we already seen that in the book? And I'm forgetting.
Started the first issue like sort of halfway through a music video shot.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
I think sort of very much based on the Blur Country House video, where it was. Like as Elastica were the birth of, not the birth, but like early Britpop, when it was like full of attitude and just sort of like go for it, and sort of Country House, which was the worst of Britpop really, where it was just like throwing in every sort of like cliche and stereotype about Britain that they could come up with. So it was all like sort of
horrendous,
like dancing policeman and
horrendous.
Through into the Geese one, dancing policeman, Camden Market,
a phone, like red phone box, red post box, and taxi.
There's a lot of that.
Union Jack on it, all the sort of like everything.
Damon Albarn dressed in his Dickensian finest.
Oh yeah, talking about Country House now. You're
I
still
am.
Stuck on Country
I
House,
can't
aren't you?
stand it.
We were talking about Geezer.
I know you were, but I know it's an homage to it, and I just cannot stomach that image. I will never get out of my head of Damon Albarn with his little bow tie. Oliver, please, sir, may I have another? I don't think so. Team Oasis, people.
Wow, there you go. No, well, it's and again, this I want to talk about the real environment along with Geezer, because it informs what you guys did, and I mean, we were part of that original MTV generation here in the States. What was the equivalent, William, when that was going on here? MTV. Was it MTV as well? I mean,
we had MTV, but then there were shows like The Word. You probably didn't see that one, where that would just try to be as outrageous as possible. There was nudity, there was people throwing up.
Oh my! Wow!
People, daring to kiss grannies and things like that. Really.
And I know
grandma.
That was where Oasis had their first TV performance actually as well.
Okay.
Break. And I remember like Cud would try to get on The Word as well.
I was going to ask.
All rehearsed, and then they put someone else in. We do. It's not in this one, but I do have a sequence with The Word TV show planned for the next issue.
Am I right? Because I remember before Later with Jules Holland, didn't he have or maybe I'm confusing that a different Jules Holland music show with a comedy show. Was it the Tube? That's what I was going to say. Oh, that's great, man. All right, good. I'm right. Okay.
Yeah. And then probably the classic Britpop TV show was TFI Friday with Chris Evans, because he just thought he was like a member of a band, and he'd have him on, and he'd have to apologize for Sean from Happy Mondays swearing all the time, and they had Ocean Colour Scene providing the theme tune. Yeah, a lot of Britpop bands were on that as well.
And then I've seen, and again, man, thank God for YouTube, because truly, there's things that we didn't get on American TV that you guys got, or vice versa. And there was a quiz show where it featured 80s artists as, answering the questions. Like a Jeopardy.
Yeah?
Say it again.
Never mind the Buzzcocks. Yeah, that's
the band, yeah.
The show was called Never Mind the Buzzcocks.
Oh my God, I didn't realize. Oh my God, that's...
They had this sequence in it where they have like a panel of like 4 lookalikes from a band, and they wouldn't say who it was. They weren't allowed to speak, and then the panel had to guess who it was, and they basically just take the piss out of this band and humiliate them. And Carl from
Some guy with flock of seagulls hair. Yeah,
Exactly.
no, actually, I'm a plumber.
Dressed up. They were about 60, and they were dressed up in their stage shirts. And Carl from Cud was invited on, but he refused to do it. He said, "I just don't want to be embarrassed in that lineup."
Now, I'm thinking of a different show though that was a straight up quiz show, and had like 3 band members, different bands. Like I think I want to say John Taylor from Duran Duran was a panelist on one. I can't remember. My friend who has a Milwaukee radio show, she would know because she's much like Shell, big and well, Philip's from there, but a big Anglophile like Shell.
No, I think John's going back earlier. I think maybe he's like thinking of like Cheggers Plays Pop or something. Or what was the Mike Reed one? Pop quiz.
Pop quiz. That's what I'm thinking of, Philip.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There you go. I just had to go a little bit longer than never mind the Buzzcocks.
You would love.
You would like to like seriously. If you like pop quiz,
hold on, one at a time. Yeah, I'm missing both of you right now because you go. So, will you go then, Philip? Please continue.
Oh, yeah, never mind. The Buzzcocks is basically like an updated pop quiz where they were just insulting to all the bands.
I'm going to pump pop quiz.
Well, I'm going to look for it. I'm going to look for never mind. That's great,
definitely worth looking for. Yeah.
I love the British panel shows, and I love the British game shows and stuff like that. There's much more life to them. And man, Shell, I don't know about you, but Jesus, these revivals of Pyramid and To Tell the Truth, and it's like it's so bad. It's too self-aware. It's too self-aware. I do watch, and again, showing that I'm an old man, I watch Buzzer for the old 70s and 80s reruns. Mostly the 70s ones, though. Match Game, things like that. Hollywood Squares, the classics.
Sure.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I know. Little sidestep in the States pop trivia and everything. But yeah, it's I got a pop quiz. I got to find more episodes of pop quiz. It cracks me up, man. That's excellent. So again, we're in the midst of the Kickstarter campaign for Geezer. It's volume 3, and no, it's here. I'll even scroll through issue 1 and show everybody some of Philip's fantastic art. Here we go. So there's the cover, and I'll scroll down. There's the great little Go ahead, Shell.
But stay for the art. I mean, the art is extraordinary, and I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting next to the artist and he could throttle me if I say something untoward about it. I think it's the best work of Philip's career, and I would know. I've kind of been looking over his shoulder since 1993, and it's extraordinary. But I like when Will talks about the art.
No, I'm in awe of it. I feel very privileged that Philip's drawing to my words. And obviously, the great thing is seeing it for the first time, and it just vastly improves anything that I could have imagined on the page.
That's great. It's like Presidency Christmas. No, I understand, man. You have an idea, you write a script, and then Philip comes through and makes it a reality. That's
look at that. Look at that payphone there. That is absolutely perfect reference there.
There really needed to be another page in there that sort of blew up all the little post-its and business cards.
Sure.
In the background there, because there were some really good ones. There's probably a really, really funny one underneath that speech bubble.
And when I said that Cud were given a 1 meter square telephone box payphone, that was the exact one.
Yeah. Oh, like I understand. This payphone. Excellent. Wow, that's great. No, again, look at this. And Philip, again, the attention to detail. And really, people can really just stay on a panel and really appreciate everything that's happening in the background, let alone what's happening in the forefront.
Well, it's funny. I kind of hope so, because that's what I end up doing when I'm drawing. I'm like sort of, I'll get the stuff in the foreground sorted out, and then spend like at least as much time doing all the stuff in the background, because everything sort of like, I don't know, it's like everything has to have an equal amount of attention, I suppose. I feel bad for the guys at the back of the crowd, and like everyone has to have like a little backstory going on
Or a badge.
somewhere about them. Some like their haircut seems like wrong or something.
But that's comics. That's how you do real comics. That's how you make them meaningful. That's writing and drawing with intent. You don't see a lot of that in comics anymore. There are so many of the same old comics, but this is why Geezer stands out, in my humble opinion.
I think to me, it's like sort of it's that there's this whole world there. There's the world that they live in is real to me anyway. Like, and
yes.
So when I go in there, everything has to be sort of like, no, this is a real thing. We're not just like making up a story. This is like sort of the cars in the background are like, if they're not really badly drawn, they're pretty good.
Well, and also
how he's doing.
Hold on. Shell, say your thing, because William's been waiting to say something. Go ahead, Shell.
I just want to ask Philip, because he was saying that he spends all his time with the detail of backstories for all the people in the crowd. How was the scene in the Reading Festival in issue 3 going?
It's some of it's been penciled. Yeah. That's going to be it's apart from being like really fun and really like, there's some really cool stuff going on there. I can't say what.
Oh, come on, spill a little bit.
There are like 2 performances that we see, at least part of. So there's a lot going on in there. It's like there's 4 pages worth of story, and there's like probably, by the time I'm finished it, there'll be like sort of 300 people within the scene that you could actually sort of look at and go like, there's another person. Like, you just sort of like,
wow.
Sweat. We can smell the sweat. We could have had like a scratch and sniff book. You could smell all the sweat and the lager in the crowd at the festival.
Lager.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, stale beer, man. Stale beer and cigarettes, as I remember backstage at many a comedy club. Yeah.
So Philip can get his revenge. He can ping it back to me and say, can you provide me with 50 different T-shirts for this crowd?
Yeah. It reminds me, for people who haven't read Geezer yet and really seen a lot of Philip's art, it reminds me what Gene Ha and Alan Moore used to do with Top 10 back in the day. And there'd always be bits of business, and like you can really sit on, and that's why I've got this panel up. You can really sit on a panel, and that's great because again, you're giving them 40 pages for. Is this going to be volume 3? Is it another 40-page issue?
It is. We passed the stretch goal. Yeah.
Cool. That's great. I mean, and again, you guys, that's what I'm saying. It's a full meal every time you guys put an issue out.
It's full English. Yeah. It's
rim shot.
You will be stuffed by the time. If anyone can actually read the whole thing in one sitting, it's like they're going to have to be rolled home.
I would assume there's an eventual plan when all 5 are out that you'll have a volume, right? Full volume.
That the dream is yes. I'm certainly not sort of like I don't want to encourage anyone to wait for the trade.
Certainly,
because they're going to be waiting a long time if they're waiting for one thing.
I get it, man.
Also, the trade is going to be like when we do a sort of like a big volume, we're going to like the plan is to
splash out
to make it like a 12-inch size thing.
Good.
And you can like really sort of see, like really sort of like fall into the artwork and see all the stuff in the background.
We have so many big ideas, and we're in it for the long haul.
But we certainly don't want anyone to be in that situation where they're like, yeah, I'm a big Bob Marley fan because I've got this collection, this remastered collection. No, I didn't buy any of the originals when they came out.
I get it.
Waited for the collection.
No.
The real fans are going to have their beaten up old sort of like original release and on all the singles and like sort of with all the, you might well be missing out on the B-sides and stuff and all the sort of.
And the great swag that Philip designs.
Also, the swag, yes.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Hold on, zooming in.
I don't know anyone in pop culture who is designing such incredible swag. I mean, this to me is the creme de la creme of swag. World over. We're talking global. I'm not just talking comics swag. I'm talking in the history of swag since paper was invented.
Wow.
Yeah, we do all the merchandise just like it was a real band, the T-shirts, the posters.
I was going to say yes. At the offregister.press website, offregister.press/geezer. Not only will you see previews of the books, but all the Geezer merch. And I love that you guys redid the word balloon logo that I sent Philip. And on my warrior woman, who I had like kind of in a Red Sonja sort of outfit, Philip put a black Geezer T-shirt on it. I'm like, that's fantastic, man. No, that's great.
Put some clothes on, girl.
Exactly.
I know. Sorry, man. I know. Believe me, I wasn't trying to be misogynist in my choice. I'm like, just give me a Red Sonja kind of warrior woman. And to the artist's credit, it was Tim Seeley, actually, the great Tim Seeley. Yeah. And to his credit, he's like, all right, I made her a person of color and red hair. I'm like, great. I'm like, I love it. It's great.
Tim Seeley. So. Of course, I made her almost naked. Gotta love Tim Seeley.
Absolutely, man. Come on. Hilarious. No, it's a great story, and obviously, I'm sure you're going to have no problem, William, filling the other 2 volumes coming up. This is great. When does the Kickstarter campaign end?
I say 22 days from now. We're at a good stage, so it's funded, so it's actually happening. We passed 2 stretch goals, so it's got the 40 pages. It's coming in a lovely record store bag that Philip's to design, and we will be announcing the next stretch goal very soon. Have we agreed on it?
I think we're close to agreeing on it. Yes, we could have exchanged a couple of emails this morning when we realised that we'd blown through our next stretch goal. So we need to get. We're gonna have a stretch goal at like 15,000 because which will be nice because like the first 2 issues sort of came in around that sort of figure. So if we can keep the interest, even though we're like coming in at like doing a 3rd issue, which I should point out, like anyone who backs the 3rd issue through Kickstarter, you've got the opportunity to pick up the first 2 issues at the same time as well. So you're not just like coming in halfway through the
other things because of the add-on features
and other things. Yeah, lots
add-ons,
lots of little extras, and also the closer we get to. If we make a next stretch goal, there's always new stuff coming free with your purchase.
Fantastic. That's great. Shell, go ahead. Excuse me, William, please.
So I was just going to say that we're really cheered by how well issue 3 is doing. If we put a comic in a shop and issue 1 sells out, issue 2 does less well, issue 3 does even less well.
Sure.
But so far, issue 3 is doing as well as the previous issues. So we must be doing something right because the people who backed the first couple of issues have come back more.
I think that goes to show you have a great crowd, and not unlike the Cud Band fans. The Geezer fans are loyalists. They have excellent taste, and they're ardent, and they understand what crowdfunding means. So I like to say we put the fun in crowdfunding because I could have been one of those pun people writing reviews. But seriously, the best part about crowdfunding is sharing the passion you have for this comic with your friends and relatives, parents and grandparents, and get them to kick in a couple bucks, get yourself an amazing comic that's chock full of story, 40 pages that will feel like 400 if you
does to me.
To look at it, your eyes will tear because of the painstaking detail that you'll find in every panel.
Absolutely. I'm gonna even go to another just basic panel, but again, a lot of business happening while it's happening there. Shell, how are, as you said about the dedicated Geezer fans that are coming back for issue 2 and now issue 3, how are things going with Off Register in general? What you and Philip are putting out? Are you finding that they might back Filthy Grammar and they are coming to Geezer and things like that? Other projects that you've done at Off Register?
Absolutely. I mean, what's so great is that I think we're living in the golden age of publishing where you can be people who made comics for 6 months, or you can be industry vets who maybe worked for the corporations for 25 years and then suddenly realize you have more fun when you can do it yourself. So we're living in a great time where you can actually make comics. No one can stop you, and you don't need anyone else's permission. and the people that are into your scene will find you. But yes, we've seen a lot of crossover through the website and through some of my teaching. I teach comics editing in Portland State, and sometimes also through our Zoom channel on Off Register Press. So yes, I think it's just like-minded people tend to find each other and then stick together. And we're lucky because Philip and Will have a terrific following that goes way back. And yet a lot of the newer people that I've come across that I work with on Filth and Grammar projects, they're absolutely blown away by the retro cool of the Britpop. Maybe their parents were into Britpop, and maybe they didn't think it was that cool when their parents talked about it. But when they see Philip draw these characters, they're like, "Yeah,
oh no, this is a rock and roll story that easily could fit in today's world as much as it does evoke that early 90s period. 100%, man. No, definitely.
I think it fits into a lot of scenes as well. It's like not just the music scene, you know, there's like similar things go on in comics, and I'm sure there's similar things in like literature and radio and sports. Like people get like all the time, people sort of like come up against the same obstacles and fail in the same ways, like through sort of
wanting to be famous, and most people can't hold that trophy, so it's the almost famous, the wannabes, I find have more interesting stories, and that's where Will's real life experience is a little bit sprinkled with some pixie dust and perhaps some other dust, but that's what we're getting here is
here I am, the eternal wannabe.
No, it's good.
I mean, like the way to like dish you will, but I think what's terrific is that those are the stories, right? The humble beginnings that climb to the top and all the obstacles along the way. And look at you now, right?
Well, the British like losers, but they like the underdog. They, if once you're hugely successful, people don't want to know you as much. They want to find out about, those who came second.
Sure.
Who struggled to get into the Olympic Games, even though they were really crap at their sport, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Philip?
I was saying those are the interesting stories. The interest, like Will and Shelly were just saying, it's like the interesting stories are the people who didn't quite make it for some reason. Why did they not make it? Was it their own failings or some other conspiracy? Or
was it, there are rock stars who have been handed things on a platter because they have enablers. It's much more interesting to kind of look behind the scenes and see just what kind of machinations happened around these people. And it's really sad. I think it's really satisfying when you start reading Geezer. You start to see, like Philip said, it's not just the music industry, it's also in other industries where, the hard workers, the people that show up are sometimes the people that get kicked in the teeth first.
Yeah.
And so how do they get back up? The underdog, like Will said, it's incredible how many terrific angles there are in this book, and how I think it's relatable to the young and the ancient. The octogenarians will dig this book.
I was going to say that my lack of huge success has nothing to do with me. It's not my fault.
Well, but this week there's a recurring theme this week, because I really have been talking to creative people that do their own thing and kind of buck the system. What you guys are doing with Off Register Press. I had Michael Kingston on, who exhibits a lot at Comic-Cons, and he makes a wrestling comic and really has bigger success going to wrestling events and selling his stuff there. Mm-hmm. And it's cultivated a comic book audience that isn't a mainstream audience, but the wrestling fans love it because he's been part of it and understands that world much as you guys understand the world that you create in Geezer and stuff. No, it's interesting trend this week. Just kind of fell that way.
Yeah, if we could only get all of the people that bought Oasis tickets to buy Geezer, would be
right. I mean, come on, like the Gallagher brothers. If you think that they aren't making a cameo appearance in this book, you haven't been listening to this podcast. But it's worth saying, Will, I think you're actually doing great boots on the ground by selling comics as part of the merch table at the CUD shows.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of crossover. There are some people who follow CUD and are into comics as well, but it isn't the big crossover I expected. I think at the time that I got to know Philip originally, when Deadline comic was out, there was like a whole massive thing with Deadline was really music and comics crossing over. And there were lots of bands who wanted the artists to do their record sleeves, be involved in their videos. But yeah, it seems, sadly, I wish I could get all of the CUD fans to buy our comics. I'm hoping that they will buy Rich and Strange because it is the CUD story.
Well, I think we're about due for a resurgence of a Deadline type music and comics magazine. And if anyone's listening who has some cash in the bank, I'm available not only for parties and for promotional situations, but editorial, art and design. And
man.
Bearing one of the greatest artists of our generation.
Oh. Okay.
And that means you're going to do the dishes for the next month. Right?
No, completely agree.
Yeah.
Philip's style has always been very one of a kind, but incredibly eye-catching. And again, even the panels that we've shown you so far, I think are great examples of what you're doing. And I also, for the long, my pleasure, Philip. But also, I've loved that you've played in not only the 45 size of Geezer, but that you have done other images that you've sold over the years that are those album cover size, square bound kind of things as well.
Yeah, so we're doing that again for this year. It's sort of like I don't want to get lost in the Inktober thing because we started earlier than Inktober. So for each day of the Geezer campaign, I've been drawing just like a little sort of like yay big album. There's actually single covers this year. I did like the last 2 years, I think we did album covers at the same time as the previous Geezer campaigns, and one of the high tier rewards of the Kickstarter, they're all sold out now, but one of the high tier rewards was to have an album cover of your choice drawn by me.
Wow.
4x4.
So you would get that. So we're doing that again this year, and
4x4.
I think like over the 3 issues, I must have drawn like God knows like 150 of them, something like that. So there's a lot. Some of them the same. I think there's
some classics.
I've done.
You've done a lot of Park Life. You've done a lot of Elastica.
I was getting to the point where I could do the Elastica album cover without rereference. I could just like draw it. Muscle memory and just draw it.
I republished an interview I did with Dave Gibbons from last year when his autobiography came out. And one of the stories, I haven't made a short of it yet, but I absolutely intend to. But he talked about when he made the album cover in the 70s for Jethro Tull. And, I think Live Fast and Die Young, something, it was something like that. I forget the title of it. But yeah, and I mean, it's great. It's just Ian Anderson, but it's clearly a Dave Gibbons image. And I've loved that over the years, how, rock bands have had great comic book artists.
Yeah, he did album Cooler cover. Shaker as well, didn't he? He did a Cooler Shaker album cover.
Yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah. But,
so has, in fact. I will say that one of my only regrets about my time at DC Comics was I always felt like they needed to revive the Rock and Roll Comics trademark. They had it during my
Wow, really?
And I'm not going to say who I mentioned it to, but it was in the later years, and they went, huh? And that's when I knew, you know what? I've done my time here, people. Got to make my own comics.
I'm sure you saw the headlines recently that DC and Marvel apparently had the superhero trademark jointly. And finally, some judges nice. They hadn't maintained the copyright.
Yeah, this is good news for us. We can stop making these comics about bands now and go back to what we really wanted to do, which is caped heroes, superheroes.
I know you're being facetious, William. But did you ever have any illusions or dreams of, I know what to do with Spider-Man if I had the chance, or name your favorite superhero?
The only time I did is when I was potentially going to be editing a British Marvel comic, and I had already kind of planned a setup. I planned the front cover with the Hulk smashing his way through Big Ben, and all that kind of stuff. But generally, all the comics that I've worked on have been more left field, kind of
good,
strange female characters being obsessed with fish gods and punk underwater punk scuba divers and things like that.
Philip and Shell, what was that Vertigo book that? And I always bring it up, much like Shelly with my Brian Ferry story, but where you had the aging British guy and he was smoking hash, and that kind of helped him tap into some new ideas in Newtown.
Vertigo Pop. That was
London.
It was Vertigo Pop London, yeah. Which,
yes.
Which is like again, like kind of getting close to what Giza turned out to be.
Absolutely.
It was like there were sort of some dabblings in there of what became Giza. Really,
I get it.
It was sort of like based around the same sort of time. It was like sort of kind of a post Britpop kind of thing, but like dipped into a few of the same places.
But this version is without a Peter Milligan component.
Yeah.
Right. Peter Milligan wrote it. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Now, it's been rumored that Peter Milligan plays guitar, but I should warn you, he doesn't play guitar well enough to be in the Cud band, and it's jazz guitar, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
it is jazz guitar. Yes,
that's all right. I like a good jazz guitarist. That's cool, man. Jobin, my God, I love Jobin and his bossa nova sound. Come on, man. So no, this is great, guys. No, truly, everyone needs to get behind. There's just over 3 weeks left to jump on a Geezer Volume 3. This is the cover to Volume 1. But
you can get 1 and 2 at the same time.
Absolutely. So yes, if you're joining mid-story, don't worry, you can catch up at the Kickstarter. And yeah, man, they're only in like 3,000 shy of the next stretch goal, 15,000. So a little.
If you go on the site, you'll see also the prices are not exorbitant. They are just standard comics prices. I know a lot of times people have to like bump up single issue costs because it's expensive to make comics, and I think what we provide is really reasonable for what you're getting.
Good point.
And we also the shipping costs are low as well because we ship from both the UK and the US.
I'm so glad you said that, William, because I know that's a concern from, and I do have a good overseas audience. So no, that is a concern sometimes that I'm talking about an American product that it might be harder to actually get the hard copy. Are you offering it as a digital download as well, guys?
Yes.
Always.
Cool. Excellent. Man, it's great, everybody.
And again, we make the digital version available. I can send it from the UK, or Philip can send it from the US, whichever you prefer.
What else were you going to say, Philip?
No, I was just going to say, note that there are actually 3 different versions. There is the digital version, the UK version, and the US version. They're all like very slightly different.
Interesting.
Have a different feature in the back, that kind of thing.
What'd you guys send me? Did you send me the US or the UK?
Well, you have the digital.
Yeah. All right.
The digital, I think, is closer to the UK version.
Okay.
The US version, I think the US version of the first 2 issues both had a glossary in as well for the benefit of our foreign readers, like in the US.
Right. And I did
need to know what a wanker is, etc.
Sure. I've seen enough British TV. I know my wanker. Absolutely. That's hilarious. I know that's an unintentional double entendre about knowing your wanker. I see it every morning.
TV, you'll see a lot of wankers.
That's great, guys. Truly. Good stuff. All right, I've lost Shelly because of that comment. I think that's great. No, guys, honestly, it's always good to talk to you. I'm always happy to let people know what's happening, not only with off-register press in general, but I'm always glad to catch up on Geezer. So yeah, William, terrific seeing you. The Bonds, always a pleasure. You know that. And continued success with this and other projects coming from off-register press, and of course, Cud doing their shows. And I'm glad you guys are out there doing your thing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. We appreciate hanging out with you again, and I'll give Brian Ferry your regards yet again.
If you see him next time, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. That's it for this week on Word Balloon. I'm setting up next week. I can tell you David Pepis will join us on Monday to talk about, among other things, Space Ghost. He's been killing it for Dynamite, writing the current series there. Wednesday, I'm talking to Chris Ryall, formerly of IDW. I'm gonna let Ryall, thank you. Here, I'm gonna zoom in on Will promoting Geezer while I'm telling you what's happening. Wednesday, next Wednesday, I'm gonna talk to Chris because he has just put out again. I know, there you go. Speaking of wankers, exactly. History of for the audio audience, William was pointing at the main character's business. Let's put it that way. But anyway, no. What Chris has re-put out or is re-putting out Origins of Marvel Comics by Stan Lee. There's a deluxe edition that has a whole bunch of new art and new other things, and absolutely worth your time.
I have to mention something about Chris Ryall. I'm sure I'm going to turn in for the show, but you must ask him to share his own band days because he had a new romantic band in the early 80s called Mixed Emotions. And I'd like to see you bring it up in conversation without him running away from the camera.
Well, we'll see. All right.
Very proud of the tunes.
I got to remember to spring that on him because my brain shell, by Wednesday, I'll be like, what?
I'll text you a reminder.
Please text me. Yeah, text me next Wednesday or whatever and let me know. Or if you're watching, that would be great.
Well, I've heard a lot about it. I've seen the pictures.
Well, those are the two that are already set for next week. We'll see what else I can come up with before we start airing. But I hope you'll join me for next week for another Word Balloon Live. I hope you continue to listen to the audio library at wordballoon.com and the video library at wordballoon.com and Word Balloon's YouTube channel. I was telling the Bonds that I've been making YouTube shorts as well to lead people to the longer content, also under the Word Balloon YouTube channel and Instagram and Facebook, wherever I can post them. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.